Yes,
you
sir.
trusted the fact, but you got it wrong in the examination hall.
Yes, sir.
And you go on to say that.
So with this Troika, I could able to clear both the prelims with comfortable margin. Krishna River directly fits Koleru Lake. So mentioning this kind of adjectives makes that question, that statement very specific. See, there was only orangutan. If there was any kind of animal like gorilla, chimpanzee, then that would have made this question very difficult. Throughout these four options, only honeybees are the insects which we see in a group, or we see them in a honeycomb. Through my analysis, I could say that if we can break that term and make a logical guess out of that term, then we can certainly come to the answer. Sir, I would say that in the initial two attempts which I gave, I cleared the cutoff but missed the CSAT. But I was getting only 4 marks above the cutoff that year also. And in second attempt, I missed the cutoff by 1.5 marks. So I was constantly getting around those cutoff plus or minus 3-4 marks. So I was looking for what more I can do so that I would clear the cutoff with comfortable margin. I knew that knowledge was not a problem. I was having knowledge, but it was like UPSC test in some new direction every now and then. So then only I analyzed myself that knowledge is not a problem. We need to develop some logical patterns and common sense of the surrounding. We need to keep our eyes and ears open to look at the common things happening in the surrounding. So with this Troika, I could able to clear both the prelims with comfortable margin. Like, can we discuss few questions, sir?
Sure. Let's take up a few questions based on the interesting expression that you have mentioned, based on the troika
Yes.
of knowledge, logic, and common sense. I can see a question that you have annotated after coming back from the paper. Now,
Yes,
this
sir.
is the Prelims 2023 question where you have mentioned that, and you have very honestly mentioned that you were confused with this question, and you knew that it is around 2 to 3% when the question specifically asks whether India accounts for 3.2% of global exports of goods. And
Yes,
you
sir.
trusted the fact, but you got it wrong in the examination hall.
Yes, sir.
And you go on to say that exact number like 3.2, 4.6 or so on is given. So there is high chance of it being wrong. If it is around 3, it is more likely to be correct. So could you elaborate more on this, Shri Krishna?
Sir, I made this PDF when I came back from the prelims paper. It was for me. If I had to give another list, then what should be my thought process while solving these kind of questions? So it was like a analyzing factor for me. I always used to do this analysis. And in this question, I can say that through my previous year questions analysis, I found that most of the times UPSC gives exact factual data. Like here it is mentioned that 3.2% of global exports of goods. I knew that it is around somewhere between 2 to 3%. It was, I think, exactly 2.1%. So that in the exam pressure, I trusted that it is around 2 to 3%. Maybe 3.2 is a correct option. So I wrongly misinterpreted and take it as a granted that it has to be correct. But UPSC plays there, it was a trap. And through my previous year questions analysis, I got to know that whenever UPSC gives such kind of exact point-wise data, then there are high chances that it can be wrong. I'm not saying that 100% it will be wrong, but there are multiple high chances that it will be wrong. So that was my analysis regarding this question.
Okay, when you say that there are high chances of it being wrong, it won't be wrong in every case, but there are high chances.
Yes.
So I think in a way you're
Yes,
saying that it is a game of probability. If there
yes,
are
sir.
high
Yes.
chances of it getting wrong, you might
Yes, sir.
want to take risk in favor of that thought process. Makes
Yes, sir.
complete sense to me, Krishna. Before moving to the next question, I would just reiterate one thing that we had also spoken on the call, that when you are explicating your learnings with respect to the PYQs and the approach that you have applied in the past papers, it almost seems that I'm listening something from my own mouth, because these learnings are something that I discuss a lot with my students as part of the Dominate Prelims initiative. And it is good to know that a ranker has been following similar thought process and has been able to get such huge marks above the cutoff. Quite heartening to know. So let's quickly move to the next question from your paper. Again, this is a prelims 2023 question, and I can see here you have mentioned that you had left this question, you were unsure about statement 3, but then again you go on mentioning that this is a fact asked from NCRT. Statement 1, Jhelum River passes through Ular Lake. It's an NCRT fact. Then in statement 2, very interestingly, you mention that an adjective or adverb has been used in statement 3 when UPSC says that something directly feeds the Koleru Lake. And again, ahead of statement 3, you write that it's something mentioned in the current news with respect to Ramsar sites. So what would you add here, Krishna?
Sir, I would say that I knew the first option, that Jhelum River passes through Ular Lake. That was a simple fact from NCRT. And through my previous year questions analysis, I was sure that second option is wrong, because whenever UPSC gives such kind of specific directives, like they could have mentioned that Krishna River feeds Koleru Lake, but they had mentioned that Krishna River directly feeds Koleru Lake. So mentioning this kind of adjectives makes that question, that statement very specific. And this is a trap which UPSC likely sets in some questions. It was through my previous year questions analysis, I could sense that there is something fishy in this statement. Regarding the third option, Gandak River forms, meandering of Gandak rivers formed by the cover lake. I knew it was in current affairs. I had read it in the current affairs magazine, but I was not sure that cover lake was formed by the meandering of Gandak River. So considering the randomness of paper, and I was quite able to attempt other questions comfortably. So I was sure that I will clear this cutoff. So I left this question without taking unnecessary risk.
Okay. Again, it's very interesting to know that based on your PYQ analysis, you had come to this conclusion that whenever UPSC puts emphasis, in this case, by either adding adjective or adverb, UPSC is putting that emphasis that something is directly feeding Koleru Lake. So you found it to be fishy, and it was more likely to be wrong. I think that's an important learning for the students, like who think of attempting lesser questions or having a lesser risk appetite. This thought process would definitely help them. But at the end,
Yes, sir.
you left this question. You did not want to take unnecessary risk. Again, that makes complete sense. Now, let's take a few more examples of questions which you attempted, Krishna. Now here I can see you have highlighted the term, the expression makes a tool, and that you have linked to something that has to be intelligent and something that has to be the closest relative of human, and you have again linked it to orangutan. So looks like a very logical chain that you have built over. Could you elaborate on
Yes,
this,
sir.
Krishna?
Sir, I would say that when I came back from the prelims paper, few of my friends were saying that what kind of question like this UPSC is asking. But it was kind of a very simple question for me, because if you go through at on the first instance, we would sense like that this is very difficult question. But when we go through the description, animal making a tool, there has to be some kind of intelligence in that animal so that he will be able to make a tool. And being an intelligent animal, he has to be one of the closest relative of human ancestry. And if we go through the options, there were no other animals which were close to human ancestry. There was only orangutan. If there was any kind of animal like gorilla, chimpanzee, then that would have made this question very difficult. But simply because it was mentioned only orangutan, then that was a simple question for me. It was short question.
Okay, when you say if UPSC had given other options like gorillas, chimpanzee, then this question might have become relatively more difficult. So in a way, I think you are suggesting that UPSC made this question easy for us to attempt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. What was needed was just to have that risk appetite and go with your calculated risk and with your instinct that you had developed through observing many PYQs. Again, makes complete sense, Krishna. Let's have a look at another interesting question from 2023 prelims itself that you had attempted. Here I can see you have highlighted waggle dance and kin, and you have made that linkage with where you say that those living in family and groups. So kin is something who live in family or groups, and bark honeybees. Again, looks a very logical link that you have built here. Could you elaborate more on this, Krishna?
Sir, not know anything about waggle dance, but hello.
Yeah, you're audible. Please continue.
Yeah, yes. But I did not know anything about waggle dance, but something related to kinship. I know that kinship are the people who live in fraternity and who live in family and groups. But if we look at the options, then throughout these four options, only honeybees are the insects which we see in a group, or we see them in a honeycomb. Butterflies, we know there are few groups of butterflies, but that are not much in. They are not in much bulk. Dragonflies, they have solo. They travel solo. Wasps also travel solo. So honeybees was the option which was more related to the kinship related terminology. So I took my calculated guess and attempted that. And somehow, based on my intuitions, I knew that it is a right answer, and it got correct. So
Again, what you're saying that you took risk. You did not have a direct answer to this question, but in the
yes,
examination hall, you were able to make out that UPSC
yes, sir.
doesn't expect you to know the exact answer to this question with respect to which insect or which creatures among the given four creatures performs waggle dance, but it is expecting you to know which of the four creatures is most social in nature.
Yes,
And
sir.
with that understanding, you were able to mark the correct answer. Okay. Again, an amazing thought process and a very logical link being drawn here. Let's move to the next question from Prelims 2023. Again, I can see here, you have mentioned some ABC and linked it to lithium. And you have highlighted
Yes, sir.
Democratic Republic of Congo as your correct answer. Kazakhstan, you have linked it with uranium. And you have again quite boldly mentioned that elimination has worked in this question for you. Please elaborate
Yes,
on
sir.
this.
Sir, in this question, I did not know anything related to cobalt, but I was very sure about lithium. I knew lithium triangle. It is Argentina, Botswana, and I think it's see. I'm not very sure. I'm not recalling at this moment. I think
Mhm.
it is.
Nevertheless,
I'm not.
you knew this
Yes, yes,
acronym that ABC
yes.
pertains to
ABC is the lithium
lithium triangle.
triangle. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes. And regarding Kazakhstan, I knew there is very much great mines about of uranium in Kazakhstan. So through this elimination technique, I could figure out that cobalt has to be Democratic Republic of Congo. So I went ahead with elimination technique, and it worked quite well here.
Okay, so here what you're saying, Krishna, is that you use your pre-existing knowledge with respect to lithium and the ABC triangle or lithium triangle that you already knew about. Also, you knew
Yes,
about
sir.
Kazakhstan. So in this case, although you did not have a direct understanding, direct information on Democratic Republic of Congo and it being a major producer of cobalt, but you could eliminate other options and mark option C.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. Let's quickly move to the next question from Prelims 2023. And I can see here you have quite interestingly used wordplay.
Yes, sir.
I am assuming you did not know the correct answer to this one as well, but you were able to break down the given keyword, the key phrase, which was small farmer, large field. And you have made that logical linkage between small and large through pooling process. So please elaborate on
Yes,
this,
sir.
Krishna.
Sir, here as well, UPSC everywhere gives this kind of statements, like they mention some key terms and gave the explanation about that key term. But through my analysis, I could say that if we can break that term and make a logical guess out of that term, then we can certainly come to the answer. In this case, small farmer, large field, we can say that many small farmers will come together. They form a commune and they will pool their land. And based on that land, they will have a collective large field to increase their income. We have seen such kind of farming activities happening in Russia. Russian economy focuses on that. So I had made that linkage, and based on that, I came to the second option, and that was quite well suited for this question. That was the correct answer.
Okay, so you say option B was most well suited among the given 4 options. So despite
Yes, sir.
not knowing the correct answer, you were quite sure that option C best suits the description of the keyword or key phrase. So you took that risk and you marked option B. Okay, again, makes complete sense. So coming to the end of this brief interaction, guys, Shri Krishna will be joining us on in the webinar on 10th May at 7 p.m., where we'll be discussing this very PDF that Krishna has beautifully annotated, and Krishna will be speaking to you one-on-one with respect to the Troika that he had developed, the Troika of knowledge, logic, and common sense, and how it would help you score with have a comfortable margin above the cutoff. Also, registration link for the Dominate Prelims Open Test will be shared in the description box of this video that will be held on 11th May at Delhi and Pune in offline mode. Also, it will be available in online mode. So see you guys in the webinar and in the open test. See you guys.